Hi guys, welcome to another video of Code Tutorial. So it's a rainy day today, raining outside, just cold, and I just said let me give us another video for today to just practice our Python, upgrade our Python skill. Today we are going to be talking about web scraping in Python. So I'm sorry if you didn't hear my voice so much. I have a little bit of cold and coupled with the rain and all of this. Web scraping is an act or a way of using automated or an automated process of extracting data from websites. Either you're using bots or you're using script. So before I continue, this is just a disclaimer for us. Web scraping is not totally legal. If you need a data from a website or from a company, you can just subscribe to their API services and get your data from API. Web scraping is more like you are stealing something from them, which is not legal, but most of the time, people in the data field do it. People in ethical hacking, penetration testing, and all of these things, they do web scraping. But again, this video is just for educational and research purpose. I'm not teaching you how to steal off information from sites. So let's just get into web scraping. To do web scraping in Python is quite easy and straightforward. You need two main libraries to do web scraping. That is the request HTTP library and the beautiful soup that we use to scrape data off the web pages. In another video, I'll be telling us on how we can scrape data off pages that are created with libraries or frameworks, all these SPAs, single page application. So let's just proceed with this. We need to import requests. Request is shipped by default with Python, I believe. Let me just do it as an R so I don't. So from we need to import beautiful soup. So this is saying it's not saying beautiful soup, probably because of the version of Python I'm using. Let me change my interpreter to 3.11, and I think that should solve the problem for me. Okay, so that solves the problem for me. So the next thing you want to do after importing request and beautiful soup is actually where do you want to scrape data from? That's the first thing. So we normally have a variable that will call URL, which is a string. Um, yes, a variable that you call URL, which is a string. After you get your URL into your string, the next thing you want to have a response, and your response will be your request dot you are going to be getting from your URL. Your response is expected to return. Your response is expected to return a status code and a few contents. So let's quickly just check this. Response. Want to print this out and be sure. Um, if your status code returns as 200, that means your connection was established and it's okay. If not, if it runs at 404, you must have seen all this status code before. Maybe you are trying to register something, you see 404, page not found, 200 is okay, 500, internal server errors, and all of these errors, authentication errors. So let's quickly look at this and see the return type it gets. I'll zoom this out a bit. And oh, okay, so invalid URL. That means I'm yet to enter in a URL. So let's say we don't want to scrape something basic. HTTPS www.google.com, for example, is a public site. So yes, another thing, when you scrape data or public site that allows you to scrape, it's fine. But when you try to scrape data of your competitor site just for to gain insight into their activities, to gather leads and all of these things, like I said, it's not totally legal. And this video is for educational purpose. So you can see it says 200. That means this request actually connected to google.com and returned a response to us, and we can see the status code. If you want to check beyond the status code, you can just say content we need our response and our content. So let's ten. I want to have a T. Print content, and this should return. This should dump a couple of HTML objects in our console to see. And again, if you must scrape out a website, you need to understand the structure of website. You need to understand basic HTML, JavaScript, and maybe CSS for classes and IDs here and there. You can see this is just returning a HTML tag object with the language, ENG, Nigeria, and a couple of scripts here and there for us to see. So it's important that you understand um, web development, at least understand HTML tags, elements, what they are, and how they are represented as objects before you be able to easily scrape out information. So you can see request and this. So the next thing we want to use is beautiful soup. Whenever we get a whole content dumped on us, then we just want to extract what we need from it, and it becomes meaningful to us to use. So before we continue, I just want you to understand that request is shipped to Python by default. Like we said, is a simple HTTP library. Where beautiful soup, you can see what it is. It's a library that makes it easy to scrape information from web pages. So it's more like you are cooking something out, and you scrape an entire site and you want to see images, you want to see links, you want to see email, phone numbers, tables, and all of these things. You can see them using beautiful soup. So let's quickly carry on with this video. So the next thing we want to do is I like adding a little bit of condition to my code so that I control the flow of my errors and everything. So before we even get the content, before we get the content, I'll add a little bit of check. If our response and status code is equal to 200, that if it's okay, what do we want to do? Probably that's when we want to get our content. So we can have content is this, and want to print content. So this is the only time we want to print out our content. So we can decide to make a deliberate mistake here and see if it returns a status code to us. So we're running this and it's returned something. Doesn't mean we have google.cm. That's strange. This is the first time I'm trying it out. Google.cm. So funny enough, Google bought Google.cm in case if somebody is trying to search and it makes a mistake, so they can route you to that. Yes, so that's how it works, and they just want to make sure that you hit their site no matter what you are looking for. So Google.cm actually return something interesting. So let's finish this up. Else, we'll say print just say an error occurred or domain not found or something. An error occurred. Just on a basic level, but of course you're supposed to say the kind of error it is while fetching web page. So I think I like this. So let's say google.c. I don't think they should be able to return that. So we have an error here. We didn't get the address. So we have an issue with this getting the address. I don't want to have to add a lot of exception here in the first place, but then you get the whole idea. It's either it's getting something or it's not getting it. So if it gets this URL and the response is okay, we want to do this. If not, we want to print an error occur. So let's go back to this and quickly throw in our beautiful soup. So we want to cook. Every content we have, we want to throw it into the beautiful soup object and pass it through HTML parser at the end of the day. So after we do this, the next thing we want to do is the content that we cook. Let's say we want to extract a few objects from it. So looking at finding all links, for example, we are trying to cook this entire content that comes back from this web page and pass it as HTML parser. So let's see if you can see the entire content in the first place. Um, so you should return a dump of content on us or give us some. Let's see. So this is showing an Unicode error, which is nothing really. Probably some settings with my Windows or all of that. But I can still carry on with this. Let me see. I'm looking for links from that Google um, part. So it should be from this soup object that we created. We want to find all A. A in web technology or web development stands for anchor tag, which represents where we save our links. So I want to find all A in links. And let me, if I try to print the links, hopefully we don't get the encoding error. If not, if we get the encoding error, we'll still keep going because it's just a settings error. And I don't want that to make this video a bit longer. So let's just see what we see. Same thing, character map. I could save it to a file, but then let me just continue with this. So this will definitely return a link object. Maybe um, mostly, let's do this print. So I said in one of my video, no matter what you're doing, either a data scientist, software engineer, um, data engineer, even in cybersecurity, if you want to relate with data, you need to understand the type of data you are relating with. So if you scrape an entire web page and it comes back, you need to understand the type of data. So this is saying this returned an element of a result set. So mostly maybe either a list, a tuple, an object is definitely a sequence data type. So if I know that, I'll just go ahead and look through it. Either have a list configuration of that. So for every link you see in these links, I want to print link. If I print out link, let's start with this. Take this out first. It will return object of that link. So this will return a couple of HTML you can see. This is the A tag, and the A tag contains couple of attributes. We have this is an attribute, the class is an attribute, the data is an attribute, href is an attribute, and all of this. So it returned an entire object for us, but then it broke here with the Unicode issue, of course, as expected. So we don't want all of this. This looks a bit messy. What we are looking for is links. So using, since it's returned as an object, we can do the get from it href. So we expect it to just give us just the hrefs one after the other and return all the links that are available on Google homepage. So you can see it. It returned all of them. We have mail.google.com, we had wdis.ng. So these are all links from google.com. So of course you can write this to a file or to Excel. File handling is, I think we have a video on file handling. If not, we do another one for us on file handling. So if you want to do the same thing for images, for example, same process, you could go and do images. Soup.find all img, and for every image you are seeing in image, you want to take the images and their source. It's as easy as that. Once you get your object, once you're able to scrape your data with request and you have it in your soup object, every other thing becomes easy. You're just extracting them. So more like cooking and extracting them. So you can see the only images we have here is images slash branding slash Google slash white background color dot png. So um, I believe it's this, the normal Google background that is being returned to us. So again, Web scraping is either legal or illegal. It depends on what you are doing it for or why you are doing it. So in the next video, we are going to be doing something that has to do with API, the legal way. In the case of API, they give you some API connection string, maybe even give you some tokens to connect with or some API keys so you can fetch data. They can limit what you fetch, see what you fetch, and all of this. But with web scraping, you're just trying to scrape off something off the website. So see you in the API videos. Bye for now.